You're live.
It is alive.
Okay. We are live. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You.
All right. I think.
Wait, so Paul, is this the link you posted? Okay, yes, I see on Twitter.
I've tweeted it. Yes.
I'm gonna retwank that.
Okay. Excellent. What was it? There's some Twitter alike. That, I'm forgetting now what that was called, but there's the emissions are called toots. Anyway,
Nice.
Let's see. Okay. Good.
Good.
Okay.
I hope the
Are
platform
we recording?
It's called Tutor.
Yeah. No, this. I'm really annoyed that I can't think of it, bring it to mind right now, because I keep updating the thing. You know, it's one of the clients. It's sort of a distributed client, Mastodon, I think.
Oh, Mastodon. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm on it, but I haven't
Toots?
done anything in forever.
Yeah. I've got like an account here and there using Mastodon, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Just haven't even run it since God knows when. At least a year.
It's so hard for something like that to get traction.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, like, part of the deal is that it's decentralized, right? So there's independent little servers, which make that, you know, I like the idea, but I can't, I mean, like, it's just too inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
So like I lose track. There is a way to like bridge them together, and it's anyway, yeah, maybe someday.
Yeah, it's one of those we'll see how this goes kind of things.
Yeah. Like app.net. I remember app.net.
Yeah. That was going to take over everything.
I paid for app.net at
wow.
one point. But
I think I might have too. There's always that land rush where everyone's racing over to try to get the same names they've got everywhere else. And none of these places ever want to say, look, if you've got it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, we'll just let you have it here. And so there's always the land rush. And then everyone's like, okay, I got my space. And if it gets popular, I'll come back. And then they just die. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think, I sort of annually we'll post something, to my little account there saying, I guess I still have this. And then that'll be it for the next year. I had a posterous, or was that what it was called? Page or something?
I thought it was posterous, like post, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Not like posthumous.
Like not posthumous. Posthumous posterous.
Yeah. But that I think that went away.
I don't even remember what that was. I remember that it existed. I remember the name, but I don't remember what it was.
I think it was some little microblogging type site. So, because that's what we need more of. Okay. Let's start.
Shall
Are we recording? My levels are bouncing.
Let's dive in there.
I am recording.
Okay. All right. It's April 11th, 2021, and welcome to episode 232 of the Retro Computing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retro computer news, nostalgia, collecting, and who knows what. Who knows really what. I'm Paul Hagstrom in Boston, and I am joined today by two retro computing enthusiasts, Carrington Vanston in Toronto. How are you?
Excellent. I'm Carrington Vanston in more places than just Toronto. Whenever I travel, I stay me.
Fantastic. And Jack Nutting in Stockholm. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing pretty well. I'm glad that I got off my couch to join this episode.
Excellent.
It was totally worth it.
Yep. It was totally worth it. Yeah.
I can already say.
Yeah, so it's I'm not actually sure what I'm kind of curious now what the anniversary is of the last episode that hit the feed. Because it was a long time ago. Episode 228, January 3rd.
I was going to say, someone said the last episode that actually came on the feed was January 3rd. And that's a full 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, we're living in the March that never ended, though. So
I think that's true. Yeah.
What is
that? That was March 2020, right?
Yeah. What year is this anyway?
So I will just reassure people, although I mean, like, the people who aren't watching this on YouTube are not being reassured as I say this, but it is not turning into a YouTube only podcast. It is still an audio podcast, and pretty soon, episode 229, 230, 231, 232, which you are now listening to, will be on the feed. Yeah. Anyway, so for those of us who are joining us on YouTube, all 5 of you, hello. So anyway, I'll catch back up. I'm the one who does the editing, and I'm the one who got too busy to do it recently. But
I was the only one who does any actual work, so nobody's
Yes.
complaining.
But it's still kind of fun to record and talk, and we appreciate those who happen to be available on the the YouTube feed to tell us where we're wrong and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And also when we just can't think of a thing, usually I can just look over at the chat and it's like, right, like Mastodon earlier. But oh, that's right. That's what that was called.
Right. But anyway, so we will keep recording, and pretty soon the recordings will catch up to the now like we used to remember back in the olden days. And so anyway, but so the host's topic, we Carrington had a suggestion for a host's topic. Actually, you could even read it.
I don't need to read it. I can just say it, baby.
You can just
I
say
want to
it.
know about your heresies. I, as listeners to the podcast probably know, recently picked up an iMac G4, which I love. And it's a computer that I never had at the time. So it's something that I have coveted, but I had no nostalgia for. But that said, a big part of vintage computers is the nostalgia. Like I love remembering how I use them. I love also the vintage look of them. The aesthetics is sometimes a really big part of collecting and using vintage computers. So here I am playing games on this old iMac G4, and the mouse is a horror show of awfulness. It's not the puck mouse, but it might as well be. So I was faced with this dilemma. Do I ruin the aesthetics of my beautiful, snow white, gorgeous iMac G4 with an ugly black Logitech mouse that works great but looks terrible? Or do I stay with the beautiful aesthetics and just say, hey, I'm not really that good at games anyway. What does it matter what my score in Harry the Handsome Executive actually is? So end of the day, I decided to pick the ugly mouse. So beside me here on the desktop is a beautiful white iMac G4 with a spongy but usable keyboard, 2 lovely Perspex speakers, and a hideous black mouse. And I want to know, would you and have you made the same choice? In your collections, do you prefer to always stick with vintage peripherals? The keyboard it came with is the keyboard you have to use. Or do the supposed benefits of newer peripherals, mice, keyboards, monitors, whatever, outweigh the aesthetics or the joy of having a complete, matching number collection? So that was my choice. I clearly have a price, and that price is gaming. So there you go. I want to know, you two, in your own experience, do you stick with vintage peripherals, or do you go with the new ones if you like them better?
Well, I'm always perfectly happy to mix and match to get whatever seems to be the best of many worlds, and that was true at the time also. And like I think at the time that this iMac G4 was a current thing, I bet you that companies like Kensington and Targus and Belkin and whatever were selling mice that were pure white, that were designed to go along with the Macs of the day that you could buy. So it would thematically match your device at the time, but would have better buttons and a better scroll wheel and better everything, because it was just not.
It might even be period correct. Oh, that's a good suggestion.
Yep. Because I feel like there's always been that third party market of companies that are trying to chase what Apple's doing in terms of style to try and match it, to try and provide peripherals and
yeah, I remember when everything was Bondi blue,
right,
everything.
Yep. You can get a little alarm clocks,
translucent plastic.
Yep. But then
so
also,
but is that what you do, Jack? Like, is that what you've actually done? Gone and got vintage peripherals that match in, or are you just talking a big game?
I have not actually
Ugly
done
Logitech.
that. I'm giving you an option here.
Oh, I see.
I
Do
would go
what
with
Jack
the-
says, not what Jack does.
I would go with the ugly black mouse that you did. Like, yeah, this is I have one of these, weird gaming mice that I bought to just use for my normal, desktop stuff, whether I'm gaming or not. Just because it's a good mouse, it has good DPI and whatever, and yeah, it has funny lights because it's a gaming mouse, but like it's a mouse, and it's fine. And I think that for me, I've always preferred function over form in a way. So like, even back in the olden days, if you had an Atari and you had the crappy square joystick, like that came with it, like that was functional and worked, but there were so many better joysticks you could buy even at the time that made every experience so much better. And even today, I have some brand new controllers that I will use with a 40-year-old Atari system, just because for me as a child, those square joysticks, they weren't fun. They were like the worst thing about gaming on Atari things was like the default joysticks. They were just awful, nasty things. And so it's like, so you can buy things that don't match it in terms of how it looks, but work better with it. So, and by the same token, I have no special love for CRTs. I know that some people do, and some people are really like they want to have the CRT that is from the era of the machine they're using. But I remember being like 12 or 13 years old and reading an article in Popular Science or something that said that one day we will have bright LCD screens, flat screens, instead of these things we're using. And I was like, that's amazing. Why can't I have that now? So I'm very, very happy to use a nice, modern, bright LCD screen, or even better, 60-inch TV connected to my old video games or computers instead of suffering through a little 8-inch CRT of some kind or something. Like, to me, that was I can appreciate the nostalgia factor of seeing that if someone has it, but for me personally, the tiny screens and the scan lines were always the thing that was just like, that was a necessary evil, but it wasn't like something that I particularly enjoyed. Like, oh, these scan lines are great was never a thing that I said in the 80s. I love all these horizontal lines that are always visible up and down the screen. It was not a thing that occurred to me.
Okay. What about you, Paul?
I have,
Because you got everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking a little bit about the CRTs just now. I have a Color Classic that it's not, at the moment it's not quite working. I need to get a replacement battery and possibly clean off some capacitor gunk. But nevertheless, when I turn it on, I hear dung, like this little like the noise of the CRT turning on.
Yeah,
and I was just thinking, that's something you're not going to get from the LCD. I wonder if I can record that. And then just make a little device that would make that noise and then turn on the LCD. But yeah, because that's how I sort of knew like something was going to happen, except that nothing happened. So I guess I didn't actually know that. I just thought it was going to.
Yeah, that's my. When I was a kid, we had a big color TV. It was like one of these big, it's like a cabinet with a TV in it that my dad had built. It was a Heathkit thing that he'd assembled. And that was the thing that when you turned it on, it made that big, very big, deep, resonant bong sound that also resonated through the whole wooden cabinet. So it was a big sort of bong. And then it took a solid 2-3 minutes to warm up before you saw or heard anything. So it was like that big sort of bong was like the intro to like, okay, now it's coming. Now the TV is going to start to work.
Yeah,
there's a nostalgia thing. Yeah, it's building up. It's actually happening now. So I can appreciate that too. But at the same time, if I just want to play a game or work on something, that's not the important thing to me. But yeah, when I do experience it, that is a joyful moment. That's true. Yeah. Those like the old noise of any of those things.
Yeah, kind of similar with the disk drives and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking. So Carrington, did you have a joystick for the color computer?
Yes,
that you
the
had?
World's worst joystick. I had the joystick. It was a Tandy joystick, little black box, and sticking up from it was a thin little silver, probably aluminum rod that would just fall over. Like
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
it just flopped around, and there was no resistance. It really felt it came broken. Like you couldn't design something that felt more broken than this thing. Like it looks like it should be attached to something, and it just flopped around like the most disinterested joystick. It was like the Tandy Ennui. It was just like, oh, must we game? I cannot bother. It was terrible. So just like the worst ever. So yeah, I had that one.
Yeah,
It stuck with me
'cause,
though. It's one of the joysticks I remember most of all the joysticks I've ever owned.
because that's sort of exactly what I was thinking. Like, and that if that was the thing that you were trying to recapture, like if you're trying to use a color computer and do gaming, I could really imagine completely giving up on on the original experience.
But
I
okay,
suppose-
so here's the thing, though. I have a question. I am kind of notorious on this. Well, I think I'm notorious because I think I'm kind of a big deal here in Canada. But on this show, I'm the non-collector. I'm in my room full of nothing but my one lonely couch, and it was a big deal for me, and it feels like an imposition on my life to have this iMac G4. How long I'll let it take up space in my life, we'll see. I'm an all emulator all the time guy, mostly. So I could see me making that choice. But if you guys are saying, oh, I like the real, but I'll just use a modern monitor, modern mouse, like why not just use an emulator though? Why use a vintage computer at all if you're just going to attach a bunch of modern peripherals to it? Jack, answer me.
It is a good question.
Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
Well,
I do
I think so. One thing for me, I do enjoy. One thing I can enjoy is like old keyboards. Like and that's not just like for like my computers. I love coming across a a VT 100 or something, and like the feel of that, like the look and the feel of the keyboards is nice. Like the Atari keyboards that I'm dealing with, they weren't really great keyboards back in the day, but that it is still a distinct feel when you're using it that is very different from other keyboards that I have at my disposal today. And it's like I saw things, someone's working on a project of their own where they are building their own keyboard that fits into an Atari 8-bit computer that is just made with all modern micro switch, modern keyboard stuff. And that's really cool. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, like at that level, we talked about it before, this, the ship of Theseus thing of when you've replaced everything, what is left? And at that point, if everything you have is, okay, I have a brand new keyboard, a brand new joystick, a brand new screen, then all you're dealing with is what's on this circuit board. And then that circuit board could just as well be, anything. So
and if you've got like a FPGA replacement VIC chip or whatever, and all right,
yeah.
Curtis in the chat has experience with the Cocos and says, yes, I preferred the deluxe joystick or the Wacos on the Coco. And I don't actually know, there is a company that makes joysticks and trackballs and things like that called Wico. I don't know. Is it so you pronounce it Wico?
I always pronounced it Wico, but I don't know if that's correct.
See,
it could be Wico, could be Wico, could be WICO. Maybe it's an acronym that you shouldn't pronounce. I don't know.
It could be Ico with a silent W. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, I've some Wico
them.
joysticks and they are great.
Brendan in the chat, I liked his note that he likes to have the original part, but not necessarily use it every time. And that's probably a good compromise. Like I will admit, and it's like no one's going to see this thing, but when there's a long period of me not using this computer, I have unplugged the Black Ugly joystick and plugged back in the other one because it looks nicer. But that is such a poser thing to do, man, because I'm not using that mouse. It's like I pretend that it's there. It's like, oh, God, am I that shallow to myself? I'm the only one looking at it. It's just, terrible. I am not a man of many depths. It's just, so this iMac has brought some fresh shame realization on me of things I didn't know about myself. I don't know if this was a good purchase.
I think, yeah. So, I mean, like as far as the stuff that I'm surrounded with at the moment, like so much of this, so few of these things are like USB capable that I don't have many options, except for really like period things, like, so there are various Apple II joysticks you can get. And I think I have the CH one plugged in right now to my 2C Plus, but I mean, like, they're those are all the things that were available at the time, and they're just as yellow and non-ergonomic as they ever were.
Well, Charles Magnan makes a great adapter for the Apple II that lets you use USB things with it.
True, and I probably have that in a box
At
somewhere.
option 8. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have a keyboard, like a keyboard shield from him for plugging in a USB keyboard to like an Apple IIe or something. Because I had this idea at one point that I was going to do this. This was for traveling with the Apple III. Like I wanted to adapt that to the Apple III so I could just bring the motherboard and not anything else. So do exactly that we were just talking about. Like have a USB keyboard and have I guess it would be a USB keyboard, and solid state disk drive and a little LCD monitor. just carry the big board. But
do you mean literally just the board? I think if you got on an airplane with a power supply and a board and keyboard hooked up to it, you are getting arrested, dude. It's like you with your electronics just working on stuff. Don't notice me. I'm just soldering in the back here. It's not gonna end well for you, dude.
Yeah. Well, the Apple III motherboard is large too. I mean, like it's bigger than the even the Apple II, and that's pretty big. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm currently kind of setting things up here as well, and I do have a lot of little compact flash things and stuff dangling off things, but there is a sense. I think you sort of nailed that like if I'm just doing what I could do on an emulator, then what am I doing? Like I may as well experience the annoyance of the disk swapping and the the joystick that flops over to a side or whatever.
So I did upgrade my iMac. I opened it up and I changed the hard drive to a solid state, maxed out the RAM, like did all the ooey stuff, changed the battery and stuff, and it made a massive difference. Like, oh my gosh, that thing just boots like nothing now.
Yeah. I was thinking I would probably do that with. I do have some SCSI Desty adapters and things like that, and I think I might do that. I have a Cube on my desk now, and I have this Color Classic that doesn't start as soon as I deal with that. I am hoping that I think that's one of the machines that can host a 2E card, and so I'm hoping I can stick a 2E card in that. And
it can still host a 2E card too. I think if you give it the 525 board upgrade, so you can upgrade. There's another board that fits inside there that you can still put the 2E card on, but have a even better computer.
Yeah, but at some point the CRT is going to fail. That's one sad thing, and it's kind of built in.
Jack already told us he hates CRTs. He hates vintage computers in general. It's the takeaway I got.
That's right.
How it goes.
Yep. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where I land on this. I mean, like I do think kind of like to the extent that I use them, I would probably go for function, except that there's another part of me that's like the only reason I'm turning this thing on is because it's kind of there's kind of an interesting nostalgia or whatever. So
I honestly thought I would just want only the original stuff. The whole reason I got this was I love the aesthetic of it. I was very surprised that I was able to go, nope, I want to play this game and it's really frustrating. And
so
I was quite surprised at my choice there.
What is the mouse that came with that machine? What is the?
I will show you.
Isn't it just a?
Is it the transparent lozenge?
So it's the Pro Mouse.
Oh yeah,
It's the one that's a white mouse with that like a tiny mouse encased in in a larger amount of clear plastic, like something out of Jurassic Park. Like there was this ancient mouse and it got caught in amber, and we could release it. Like I don't know, it's ridiculous. And it looks like it has buttons on the side, but it doesn't. So those keep messing me up.
I have the black version of the same mouse.
Oh, fancy man with mine's Pro, but back before Apple cared about the color of Pro things. I don't know. It's terrible. It's not the hand feel, although if you're a sweaty palmed fellow, this is probably not a good choice. And it's not the lack of a right click or even the control click, it seems. That was messing me up. It's the fact that the lasers have come a long way in mice. Like this thing can barely track on my desk. It's terrible and super slow. And like, nope, I'm out.
But is it not the case that like you would just get
a mouse pad? I don't think
exactly.
So. Whatever. An AOL mouse pad or something.
Yeah,
probably.
Somewhere I don't know where I put that, but somewhere I have this kind of nice mouse pad, which is basically just like a neutral face. It's just a circle that has.
Nice. I mean, I guess I could look into a mouse pad because that would also be kind of a vintage thing.
Yes.
My mouse pad. I may have shown you this before. I'm very happy with my Atari 400.
It looks like a
mouse pad.
Atari 400.
Yep.
Well, I guess I could look into a mouse pad, which would be like but then it's another thing to have. Oh, the burdens on my life of things.
Yeah, but
I think me own a mouse pad.
It is true that those inputs are I mean, like the trying to use the mouse on the cube or whatever, it's not, it's not super great.
I think somebody at Apple really wasn't sure the mouse would be necessary for this computer for some reason. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
Mac,
and
what do you need a mouse for?
the trackpad on like an iBook or a Duo, that's also not as great as you remember.
Nope.
But anyway, yeah.
Brandon in the chat says I should have a stark white empty apartment with one glaring AOL mousepad.
72 hours free or whatever it is.
Kind of sounds kind of fun to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Curtis mentioned the 1985 Coco mouse. I think I think that actually I think I have one of these, and it really, I think it's like it's a joystick. It acts like a joystick, I think, right? Or you plug it into the joystick port. But yeah, they are pretty weird.
Like with a metal ball, he says. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time cleaning mouse balls, which is not a phrase young kids say nowadays.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I do remember. I remember that those rollers that would accumulate the little gray
to take them
stuff.
out and clean them off and clean off the little rollers in the inside that would just get gummed up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of cleaning of those.
Yeah, it is true that to the extent that I start going back and using these things regularly, that same stuff is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But just it'll be modern dust getting in everything instead of vintage dust. Okay. Anyway, I don't think I have much more to add to that.
It's all good.
Yeah, it was a good topic.
Yeah, good topic, and it's all downhill from here. So, yeah, and another aspect of as has been true in the last couple. I haven't really looked at the feedback. I think maybe we did talk about some of the feedback last time, though. Now that I'm looking at this list of feedback, that looks familiar enough that we probably already talked about it. So, next time there will be feedback reviewed. So thanks everybody for the feedback that you've given us since January, and at some point we will come to it. But yeah, so now I guess we can just turn to Carrington's topics. Carrington has
topics. Oh, I've got
a couple of topics.
So this is from a while ago. I think I stumbled across this back in January, maybe. I haven't been on the show for a while. And if you guys haven't talked about it, it is a delight. So in 1982, a commercial, I think, was being filmed in a Sears department store. And for that, they shot a lot of B-roll. And that B-roll is gold. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes. And it's just like a whole bunch of just footage of a 1982 Sears department store, including electronic stuff. You can see like these, the Telegames 4 Switch things, and just it's amazing. Like it's just such a delight to go and looking at the hair and the clothing, like all the details. It's like somebody makes this as a movie. When I was watching it, I was like, boy, this is just so accurate. Like the costumers are so real. But of course, it's just footage. It's just footage from 1982. It's just how it really was. But you see the things that were on sale and people wearing puffy stuff and giant hair. And it's the ties, the cash registers, like all these details are just so evocative. It's absolutely delightful. So if you haven't seen it in the few months since it's been floating around, you really, really, really should.
Yep,
That's
is very
cool.
good.
It's only 10
you guys
minutes,
watch it?
but
Yeah, I watched it a couple weeks ago after you posted. Oh yeah, there's a little Vectrex going on in there. Somebody playing a
there's an
Vectrex
Atari
video
800.
game. There's some like Atari display units.
Oh,
Guy
I
in a
should
nice
bring the
brown
Vectrex here.
leather coat buying some things.
Yeah, there's this one point where the guy's standing in the video game section, and behind is like a wall just full of Atari and Intellivision games. Like, and I want to go there so badly. I keep seeing things where I'm like, just if I could step into this video and just grab things and play with things, and it's just such a delight. But also the hair, the clothing, like like all the other stuff. It's so 80s. You forget like so many details. There's so much taupe and brown, like so much taupe and brown in everything. It's like, oh my goodness, my memory is the 80s are all neon pink, but no, it's a lot of taupes and browns and earth tones all over the place.
Very much earth tone. Yeah, I feel like the modern conception of the 80s is that, like all this like neon pastel, but that was a part of it, but there was a lot of things that were not. It was still not that far from the 70s. You still had a lot of things that were just like brown and like weird orange, dark orange and dark green.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Very cool.
I just totally love it. I think I found it through Retroist or something like that, but it's just a completely delightful video.
Yep, it's very good. It's nicely feathered hair and
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, it's I guess what's cool about it is for some reason it's like better than expected quality video. I mean, because it was
Right.
from a ad shoot, right? You know, it's not like
It's got to be right off a master. Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks.
I think maybe this
high
was from
quality.
like a TV news segment, because at one point there's a guy who looks like a reporter standing holding a microphone. So I think this was
Yeah, I
like
think this was supposed to be B-roll for behind some sort of large TV
Yeah.
news segment. So they just said,
Right.
get a bunch of footage. Somebody ran
Right.
around and got this. And it's pristine, beautiful shot. So somebody who had a lot of shared interests with me went around and said, I'm going to film all the computer stuff and all the video game stuff and the electronics. And I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff I want to see. Awesome.
Yeah.
Way to go, video guy.
I wonder. Yeah, I mean, so I wonder if there's got to be a lot of this kind of thing around, although maybe it's all been discarded by now. But so
Because I'm
where
sure
are
for
all
many
these
years
tapes?
this seemed like completely useless footage. Like
Yeah.
by 5 years later, everyone would be like, "Why would you even want to watch this? This is
Right.
If they're not going to save Doctor Who episodes, why save this?" But I'm so glad that because then 30 years later, it becomes gold again.
Yep.
Yeah. Though I'm not sure that 30 years from now people are going to look back at all the
30 years from now, people will watch this video, this particular video,
yeah.
and they will also
Us
color
watching-
my hair.
They'll watch the video of us
us watching
watching
it, yeah.
this in the podcast.
And someone will
Turtles
do a
all the way
react
down.
video. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Let's see. How do I remove this? Yes. Okay. There we go. Excellent. And then as for the next topic that is in our show notes, anyone else want to contribute a topic, or should we just jump to Carrington's next topic?
Oh, I have more stuff to. I've got a
move
neat
right
thing.
along.
Let's jump to mine. It's cool. It is.
Okay.
So if you think the video was interesting to look at, what if it was something that instead was almost impossible to look at, but fascinating? So I present for you the Halt and Catch Fire syllabus. So this thing is wonky. The website is just it's just like somebody regurgitated. Yeah, try. I see you trying to say, should I expand the menu? No, there is no way to make things line up with this website. It's just all over the place. But the idea here is a 15 class course that is supposed to run along with Halt and Catch Fire. So somebody's designed this thing to say, if you want to run a course, not really based on Halt and Catch Fire, but kind of inspired by Halt and Catch Fire. So you watch an episode of Halt and Catch Fire, and something in that episode will become the topic of the course. And so that's what you're going to discuss. So if I click on one at random, and so we look at class 5, it's the culture of hacking. And so every time in one of these, they will have these cones. So a cone is this come up before. It's like a story or dialogue, like a anecdote kind of thing to normally teach you about how you can't use logic, but in this case, it's just like a neat thing. So kind of think about that. There's usually a aperitif like there is here, and these are all basically links to stuff on the internet that would form part of the syllabus. There's always a description, but it's not at the top. You think it would be. It's at the bottom, and questions that it calls prompts here. And so this is designed to be an entire course, 15 classes, based on Halt and Catch Fire. It is a really, really neat idea. And each class has a bunch of very interesting links. They're all linked together thematically. It has some really interesting questions, prompts and themes and to think about. There is PDFs you can download. And at the same time, it's a nightmare to look at. It's just all over the place. I'm like, how could this be a computer
it's a
thing?
mess.
So it's just breaking everything to do with making a nice website design, because it kind of looks like, was this left over from the 90s? No, this is a new thing. This is just, this is how it came out. So it's weird, but it's also an interesting sort of aesthetic. Kind of, you can't look away from it. So I stumbled on this thing, and it's weird and lovely and cool and awful and just... It's all
I'm
over
looking
the
at the
place.
page source because I think that's how it was written.
So it's just a very bizarre thing, but I like this. Like, I love that somebody sat down and said there should be a course not like on. This isn't a course about Halt and Catch Fire. It's more that the topics that come up in that show, let's look at those from both a modern and a retro standpoint. And you would then teach a course using Halt and Catch Fire episodes as the inspiration for each class in your course. What a strange and delightful and wonderful thing for somebody to have put together. I completely love it. I can't look away. So it's great. So if you want to teach a course on this or something like it, then this could be a jumping off point or whatever. So it's cool. It's weird.
Yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to just kind of go through on your own. I mean, but I think it could be sort of an interesting thing to use as as some kind of frame for introducing people to these concepts.
And on the site, there is a PDF you can download, which is the entirety of the syllabus, just in a PDF format. Basically, just text, kind of easier to read through, but then you lose all the hyperlinks and stuff, I think. So,
yeah.
Although you could put those in PDFs, I just think they're not in this one. So, anyway, it's cool. It's different. It's interesting. So it caught my eye, and thus I share with you.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, we've now made it through the items of interest and news section. This is really getting to be, yes. Can't wait till 2:33 is going to be great, guys. But anyway, now I guess it's already time for a word from our sponsor.
Halt and Catch Fire.
Yeah, we well, whatever. Okay. Shirts. That's pretty cool. Was there a particular one that you wanted to focus on here in the shirts?
Does anybody understand the time one?
The time one.
Look at the what do they call Throwboy or whatever? So if you look at the Throwboy shirts I put in there.
Oh, at the time. Yeah, that's always the time on stuff they're showing at a keynote or something, right? There's something to that. When Apple is showing screenshots, it's always that time for some reason. I just don't remember what it is.
Yeah. So I thought that was neat because it's like that's a pretty subtle Mac thing. But yes, whenever Apple shows like a thing, like a promo, it's 941.
Okay. So here, let's not burn all of our content before we cut back. But okay. And we're back. So the host's retro computing gift idea. Once again, I don't know why Carrington's not host. Carrington has contributed all of these things, but at any rate, it is a
host has to do more work.
I guess maybe that's it. But anyway, the host's retro computing gift idea this time is basically a site to throwboy.com shirts. So let's see if I can share this. Well, while I work on sharing it, Carrington, you can talk a little bit about what you have put in front of us here.
So Throwboy, we've talked about before. It's a company that had a bunch of pillows, and it kind of makes sense as because throw pillow, throw boy, throw some boys, some pillows at boys. I don't know. So they've got these shirts, and I thought they were kind of cool because there's like a command and think different and all your basic Macintosh type shirts, but they had one that's just the time 9:41. And that's an obscure sort of shirt. Like it just says 941. So you'd have to be kind of an Apple fan to even think that this has anything to do with computers. So I suspect it's the kind of shirt that people would walk up to you, hold on, and ask you what it means, that you can make friends, and then you can show them your bag.
That's right.
I might actually have to get this shirt. So it's a cool thing. So Apple promo products usually have 941 on them. But originally, if you look at super old Apple promo products, they had 942. And I've heard the reason for this is it would be typically around 40 minutes into a keynote presentation that they would bring up the product shots to say, and this is the new iPad or iPhone or whatever. So it's 40 minutes in. They would practice. Everything was timed. And so they wanted the time on the promo photo, which was just a photo, to basically match the actual time that the audience was seeing on their watch. But they knew they probably wouldn't be able to hit bang on 940, so they started with 942 to give themselves that little buffer. And then as they'd rehearsed, they got better. No, we can do 941, and then it became 941. So that's why Apple promo things are 941, because that's probably anyway, that's the thing. Steve Forstall, I think, was. Whatever. Was it Steve Forstall? Anyway, Forstall, whatever Forstall's first name is the guy who I think told somebody like a Gadget or something that's actually why they do it.
That's interesting.
Now,
Yeah,
there's one product that doesn't do that. Do you guys know?
that doesn't.
That
That
doesn't.
doesn't-
If you see that one product that won't show that as its time,
I don't know.
it's the Apple Watch.
Huh?
Do they use some different time or just random time?
No, different time, like 10:09 or 10:10, because watches always have that as their little display, like little happy checkbox thing. So clocks and watches,
Yeah.
historically, if you look at a watch, like an analog watch in an ad, it'll say 10:09 or 10:10. And Apple has that for the Apple Watches too, regardless of when they get displayed. But if it's an iPad or a computer or an iPhone or whatever, then they do the 9:41.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, you stole the thing I was going to say actually about the like the
Whoops.
1008. I had heard it as 1008 actually. I think that's but
Oh, yeah, something like
But-
that. I was thinking of it as like a V.
yeah, it's I think it's supposed to be that it makes clocks look happy. Like they sell more because it's kind of like a smiley face, right? Yeah, exactly.
Victory!
Arms up.
But it's also offset just a little bit. Yeah, so clocks and largely analog clocks and watches and things will always be at 1008. But the ridiculous thing is that became sort of like a marketing rule, as I understand it. And so this is what people did. But then like when you have a phone, a digital phone that has a readout on it that says 1008, you've somehow somebody has been following the rule without understanding the spirit of the rule.
The spirit of the rule. Right. Now, it also could be that the 941 thing is for a completely different reason. Like, who knows? I just had heard that that's why they do it. So somebody might write and say, no, that's not it. So I don't know. The story I've heard is basically 40 minutes into a keynote is when they would unveil things.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That I've
And
also
it's
heard this.
It's a cool idea, even if it isn't actually true. There are actually other sort of like it does seem to be pretty Mac themed, but there are or Apple themed at least. But there's a lot of other shirts as well that you can get at this place. But yeah, it does seem pretty Mac themed. I would have to say it doesn't go back earlier than the Mac. But cool. Okay, so but our recommendation is the 941 shirt for
Sure.
the reason that it will make you friends.
Make you friends with your bag.
That's right.
Beagle Brother bag.
Your Beagle Brother bag, your 941 t-shirt.
Yep.
I'm going to have friends, you guys. You just wait and see.
Any day now.
Any day now. Scott Forstall. Thank you, Curtis. Scott.
Yes. Right. Is that what we? I've lost track even of
Not
what
Steve.
you
We'll call him
said before.
Steve Forstall. Everybody at Apple has to be called Steve. It's a thing.
That's right. Yeah. There was a Monty Python sketch that was something sort of like that, and when you go back and listen to it, it turns out that didn't really, pass the test of time. Don't listen to that.
Oh no.
I forgot what is it. Bruce. Bruce is the name.
Bruce.
But
Hey, Bruce.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm remembering parts of that now. Yeah, that wouldn't match well.
At any rate, okay. Now, once you're done buying your shirt, your Time shirt, we can move on to spending your money on eBay. And Carrington, after having the news and the topic and the
Do I get to go first?
gift idea, you get to go first.
I am V. I'm a clock. First, I should say Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. And Jeremy Rand is in the chat. He said he's
yeah.
my friend from Canada, so you wouldn't know him. Well played, Jeremy. Okay, I should share screen, shouldn't I? I should be a good host. So I will share. I will share my little screen so people can see. Share. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You'll do it.
I'll share mine.
Thank you. So I have a very cool choice. We talked a few episodes ago about the BBC and various services that would broadcast code
Oh, yeah.
over the air, like over television. You could record it. Remember all those little beats? So this is something related to one of those. So Basic Ode, or however you pronounced, was pitched as like an Esperanto for computers. Now, one might argue, wasn't BASIC itself supposed to be that? But no, this is going to be a common BASIC language that could be used by many different computers. And so the idea here was that, like, this one in particular says it's for the Apple II and IIe, the BBC models A and B, Commodore 64, PET 34, 8000, the VIC-20, the Dragon 32 and 64, like a whole bunch of stuff. Some I've even heard of before. What the heck is the Sharp MZ80A? I can imagine what chip it takes, and the K. So the Video G, like, just so this is neat. And so the BBC had a radio broadcast called, and it's great name, the Chip Shop. And so the Chip Shop would talk about computers in general, and then they had their takeaway service, which they would broadcast late at night. So when the long wave had the shipping forecast over VHF, they would broadcast an audio program that first had the Chip Shop proprietor talking about basic code and what you could do with it, and then they would just broadcast essentially just like you'd hear modem sounds, like just here's it is. And so they would tell you in front, okay, get your tape recording, and then you'll be able to download this, and it'll be basic code that if you run the basic code kit available for all these computers, you'll then be able to run the program they talk about in the show. Absolutely love it. So after us talking about that kind of thing, I was just totally chuffed to stumble across this. So this is the Chip Shop Basic Code 2 Plus, which presumably was the second version of this. I don't know. Comes on cassette for all those various computers. It's the cassette plus the little manual. And so you would run this cassette to load your basic code interpreter, and then you could type in or download or load from saved cassette, I guess, the audio program that the Chip Shop broadcast for their takeaway service. Completely delights me. In addition to that, though, went online and I found an example broadcast of the Chip Shop's takeaway service. Which
Okay.
has been put
Yeah,
on
I
YouTube.
was wondering about that. Yeah.
Right. So you can actually listen to the show. He talks at the beginning. It's really neat. So if you get this thing, you can download it. You could then copy the audio from this takeaway service, presumably to an audio cassette, and then load it into your computer and see. And it was a game that night. So you can see what game they were broadcasting at super late in the morning on some Sunday. I'm enamored by this entire thing. Completely love it.
That is really cool.
Yep. And it's cheap. It's less than $20, 13 pounds.
Excellent. Yeah.
No idea if it's a good price. It just, these things were in my mind because we had talked about broadcasting stuff, and I think this is just an adorable. And I love that it's called the Chip Shop. The guy who presents is terrific. He says they picked him because he just sounds like a good bloke who would like to know more about computers, and that's exactly what he does sound like.
Yeah.
So he's just it's a terrific thing, and it's amazing how much the BBC did in the late 70s and into the 80s to normalize and promote computer usage among the general population.
Yeah.
That's my way of saying up with socialism, but I just said it nicely.
Cool.
Love it. So that's my choice.
All right. I have a couple of things. None of them super exciting, but whatever. Here we go. First is that so this came to view.
I totally had this.
Yeah, so this is the Mattel Electronics baseball game. It was stuck in the vintage computing section, so it came to my attention. This is the kind of thing that people who just look at retro games and things, it's not a vintage computing thing exactly, although there's some kind of computer in there, I guess.
Right.
This particular one doesn't work, but it comes with the box, and I almost think that's as good because it's really it's a pretty cool box actually. Nice green thing. It's the same kind of deal that there's the football and football 2 and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure I don't think I had this, but friends of mine did, and
I remember seeing this in school. Kids had this in school.
Oh, now that you say that, maybe I didn't have. Maybe I just played this. I had the football one. Maybe I didn't actually own the baseball one and just played it. Like kids would pass these around in school. So
Right.
Yes, okay. I think that I'm in the same boat as you. I didn't have this, but I played it at school.
I'm pretty sure that in my office I have football 2. I reacquired in the modern era, but anyway, so this one doesn't work. If game malfunctions, try a fresh battery. But it doesn't work because there's something stuck on the battery, says the seller. And what is stuck on the battery is a piece of an old battery that was once plugged in.
Right.
So this is presumably quite easily repairable, even if you just have to replace the little 9-volt connector.
Yeah.
So if that's, I mean, if that's the only problem, it does look like it was fused there, like it there's some
But
sort
the
of
9-volt
battery problem.
connector, you could replace that thing. That's a 5-cent part. Like that's nothing.
Yeah.
You could replace that so easily.
Yeah. So
And looking at it, there doesn't seem to be any like acid damage, like on the connector, sure, but in the actual bay, like the foam is still there. Yeah. I bet you it's just pop on a new 9-volt connector and you're good.
Yeah. So, and given that it comes with a box, it's pretty nice. I mean, it starts at $20 bid, has a week to go. But and since this is not going to hit the feed at any time, that's going to threaten anyone's ability to bid on this.
This was just for the YouTube people.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, but yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty cheap. Particularly if it doesn't go any higher. So I thought that was kind of neat. Next thing is Mac security brackets. I have no experience with these.
Oh, no, I totally had these. There's a security, it would say security. It's like a security slot in those Macs. And this basically is like a little T thing that would go in, and you could feed a lock through it, and then that would stop you from being able to take the computer. Like you chain it to your desk.
Yes, I was kind of wondering about like how effective are these things? I mean, like are they? I don't quite understand exactly how they work, but if you can put them on, can't you take them off?
Well, no, because you'd put a padlock through it. Like the whole point is it goes on there, and then you use the little chain and you chain it through, and you put a lock on it. So now it's a thin little braided cord. So very easy bolt cutter will just snip this. But the idea is you would stop just a casual person from walking by and just like picking up your computer, walking, especially if it's a laptop.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the laptops had this connector piece too.
There was a long period of time where Macs had these. There'd be a security slot, and that's what it was for. It would just let it slide in, and then it's like a reinforced part of the case. So if you try to pull, you'd really have to bust it out to break it out of the computer.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it on the back of the classic Macs, but I didn't realize it was a laptop. Makes a lot more sense. I should look at my iBook and see if it still had that. But anyway, if you want an original Apple part, they cut away all the identifying information and just left the shrink wrapped thing. So but it does say Apple on it, and it has a Torx screwdriver, an official Torx screwdriver. I don't know if the screwdriver says Apple. I don't think it does.
What are the screws for? I don't understand.
I don't know. Good question. But they're Torx screws.
I don't remember having to open up the case to put those in. Am I wrong about that? I don't remember doing that.
How else would you put it in and have it stay and not just slide back out?
So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm misremembering this, but 100% I remember those. We had them at work. We had a whole bunch of computers that used these. But I swear they just went in and turned or whatever. Maybe I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm old.
I feel like I know that I've seen these, but I've never installed any myself and never really given much thought.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the boat I'm in as well. Like I probably even have some of these around, but yeah. Anyway, I was realizing that I didn't quite know how they worked, and now I maybe a little bit more.
Herb in the chat says you remove the thumb screws that are on there and replace them with the Torx screws. So actually, you're removing a thing and putting this in. Okay.
Oh, to make it harder for people to just unscrew it with their fingers. Like it makes it so that it's harder to open up the case to remove the thing also.
That's cool. I wonder if this, I wonder if the screwdriver by itself actually is a useful thing to have, because I always hear people talking about like you need this Torx screwdriver to open up the case or whatever. Maybe this is a way to
old
get
Macs used a lot of T8s or something. It's better to have a long one, like in the handle of the classic computers, like the SE and stuff. It's down deep in that handle, so you want a really long Torx 8 or 5 or 2 or 15 or whatever the heck number it is.
Yeah, although I have one of those little kits, kits of many little bits, or screwdriver heads or whatever. And I had no problem with that, like reaching in to that recessed screw. Some
of us have difficulty and our joysticks flop over, Paul.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you.
Everyone is different.
That's right. Happens to everybody at some point.
when you have a cocoa.
Okay, the next one I have is I had written this in the show notes, and our internal show notes says an obsolescence bonanza. So what it is
Alternative name for our podcast.
Yeah, but this is a 6 VHS set to train you on how to use WordPerfect 5.1. It comes with VHS cassettes and also floppy disks.
All still shrink wrapped.
And yeah, right. So somebody never did learn how to use WordPerfect 5.1. But it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's got. I mean, it is actually a set. They're not 6 identical things. They're like one is learning, one is for the office, one is I can't quite read it, but anyway, there's and
time savers.
Yeah. Yes, right. I see. Yes, there's a reflection on the thing, but I can kind of see the time savers part.
So presumably this was for Windows or DOS or something?
Yeah, I assume so. I think of WordPerfect 5.1 as being a PC thing.
Because it comes with floppies, so it's not just like this is a video cassette.
Yeah.
You can do it for anything.
Yeah.
So presumably it's a PC thing.
Oh, there it is. Secrets and time savers. That's what that is. Anyway, yeah. I mean, this is one of those things that it's quite possible that this is unpreserved because
Could be.
it's also quite possible that no one cares.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that you could get and dump on YouTube, and someday somebody wants this. We were all enamored by that Sears store walkthrough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So not. I mean, it's not going for much, and I wouldn't expect that it would go
$15
for much.
Paul, do it.
Yep.
Pull the trigger. Do it. You have a whole new
Starting
house
with
now to
15,
fill up with
or you
stuff.
can make an offer.
$15 seems a very reasonable thing for 6 shrink wrap things with discs and
Right.
tapes. Give the person their $15. Come on.
That's right. They were nice enough to keep it alive for this long.
This is perfect for the WordPerfect enthusiast in your life. It's a perfect gift.
That's right. Okay, what is the next one? Oh yeah, this one. Actually, Ian sent this to me. This is, and I didn't actually look at it carefully enough, but it is a new game for the TRS-80 War Games.
Hooray.
From Dreamland Software. So there's a little description down here. All new from Dreamland Software for 2021. New 2-disc package comprises what is in effect the full Dreamland Software collection. But anyway, there's a YouTube video you can watch if you want to see it. I actually didn't follow that up, but maybe I will click on that now. There we go. Okay, so
Bunch of games here.
yeah. But in fact, yeah, I mean, so it's new, newly made. So if you want to support that kind of an effort, this is how you do it.
Cool.
Let's see.
That is fantastic.
There are 6 available, 8 sold. It's 29 British pounds. It looks nice too. A little shrink wrapped, a little thing in a baggie on a floppy with printed instructions. Very TRS-80 graphics. So
nice. Super cool. Curtis in the chat says there's a couple new games, and there's also a clone of the Atari 2600 Activision game Stampede. I loved Stampede. I was listening to an Activision podcast once where they were talking about how awful Stampede is, and they were wrong. Activision people like, come on, man, Stampede was super fun. That's my memory of it anyway.
yeah,
I'm not even sure if I know which game that was.
yeah. I'm right now just trying to remember.
You
right,
have to
that.
lasso.
Yeah.
But I liked horse racing as well for in television. Like I like some strange games.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think that's cool. We've talked a little bit about some new games that were written on other platforms, but at least the TRS-80 has not gotten a lot of discussion on.
Because I had a Model
podcast.
1. I have such a soft spot for TRS-80 stuff. Like just lovely, blocky, terrible graphics. So slow, so beautiful. I love it. I just love the aesthetic.
And this game seems to be just character graphics. So
Welcome to TRS-80.
look at that.
Yeah, but I mean, it It is really pretty great, actually, what they did with that. I had a friend who had I think it was I don't know what, Model 3 or something, and we would actually make, like, there was some sort of a animation type program. You could make sort of frames of an animation, and then play it as a movie, and then you'd turn off the thing and it would be gone. So we would spend a couple hours making a little animation that didn't last beyond those couple of hours, because I don't think there's, like, I don't know, either we didn't have a disc, or we didn't know how to save it. I don't know, but at any rate, but it was pretty fun, actually.
Like tears in rain.
That's right, exactly. Okay, check that out. What else? Let's see. Oh yeah, so, and this is actually something that Blake of our podcast pointed out and said somebody should talk about this. This is a Raspberry Pi case in the shape of an eMate. So an eMate 300.
Like not quite eMate, but very eMate inspired, I think.
Inspired, yeah.
It's pretty close. For comparison, this is an actual eMate. So an actual eMate 300 auction I'm showing on the screen. And
you
that's
see how the
actually
eMate cover is kind of rounded on the edges, whereas this new one is like got pointy bat ears.
That's right. Yeah.
Or cat ears, I guess.
But anyway, so this is it's basically a Raspberry Pi enclosure. It has a functional
and I think
keyboard.
It's fully 3D printed, right?
Yeah, I think that is correct. Yeah. What's kind of funny about this is that it's basically someone putting their class projects on eBay. So I designed and built it as a final project for industrial design at my college. Says the seller. There is exactly one.
This person becomes like a super famous industrial designer. Yep. Then having an early class project could be a big deal.
That's pretty.
It's like an investment. Who knows?
So the case was
keyboard
designed.
Looks cool, but the space bar looks teeny.
Oh yeah,
that's a space bar I would miss a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of weird keys on there. There's a sleep key that's or something. It has a bunch of Z's on it. It's like Z's going up into the diagonal corner. I wonder what that. Maybe it really is a like put this to sleep key. But yeah, and I mean this is actually, it's very small, so it'd probably be pretty hard to type on it. But still, it's kind of neat. I mean, it looks nice. It's an interesting thing to do, I suppose, is to make this to make this available. This seller actually has another class project as well. if you want to sort of help fund the person's education. Android tablet turned into a laptop factor. One of a kind, I guess. Super rare.
That's about as rare as it comes.
Yep. Anyway, it's kind of neat. And just for comparison, I think the actual eMate auction. This is a pretty nice eMate. It's seems kind of expensive to me. It's a $215 starting bid, but it does, it's shown to function. The screen
Did
has
either of you
pretty
guys
good
ever
contrast.
have an eMate?
I've never even seen one in person. I always thought they looked really intriguing, but I've only
Paul
ever seen pictures. Yeah. How many do you have, Paul?
Paul's got one.
Here's my eMate. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
So I guess it does have the curvy top and not the the bat top.
Yeah. I've used an eMate, but I never owned one.
Yeah. It's in my little pile of Newton stuff. Because it's the most powerful of the Newtons, right, basically.
It's the Super Newton.
Yeah.
What year did that come out?
93, I think, something like that.
What'd you say?
I think it's 93-ish, something in that time frame.
You can just look up when various Batman movies were released.
Yeah.
Because it's so inspired. So there must have been like if there was a Batman movie in 96, this came out in 97. It's that kind of thing. Like it's clearly Batman's going to be big.
I mean, these things were made, I think they're supposed to be basically for students. What year did we decide it was?
97.
Okay. Wow.
For kids.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's supposed to be sort of like resilient for schools, So there's various things that are kind of like school related. And in fact, actually, I think the one I have right here is has some stuff installed on it from from whoever the school person was that had it before me. But anyway, yeah, they're kind of neat. And they're modern enough that you can put like a Wi-Fi card into them and connect to old style Wi-Fi and things like that. So
Cool.
Anyway,
It's neat
yeah.
to see how the design choices made for it to make it rugged, like all the extra bits around the outside, carried through into the iBook G3, which wouldn't have come out until a couple years later. Like that would be like 98, 99, something like that. So this predates all those Bondi blue, big, lovely, awful keyboarded iBook G3s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see this as a precursor of those.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they definitely look like the beginning of that idea.
Yeah.
The keyboards actually are really nice on these. I have to say, I like the typing on this much better than what came after. So, all right. Anyway, so those are my auctions that I have provided, and so not very many.
Well, by your standards.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess this has been like the people who have been following along on YouTube probably know this, but I just moved, and so like everything is all in disarray. Although I do have various things that are at hand now. I can pull up the email and show you and all that, but I can hit the button on my cube and have it go boom.
Brandon in the chat is guessing that this whole time your podcasting chair is just a stack of emails.
Right, exactly. Yes,
it's hilarious.
Anyway, yes. I think I was just basically saying, any minute now, things will be back to normal, and I will be more prepared. But it's okay to have a couple short episodes here and there.
Yep, that's fine.
So what that means is that we are already at the closing discussions. It seems like the time has just whizzed by. But Carrington, once again, is first in the alphabetical list of people. And so you have a closing discussion link. In fact,
I should look at the show notes.
Yes.
Oh, that thing. Yes. So TRS 8-bit. I vaguely think maybe we talked about this before, but sometimes like I'll discover a thing that I love, and then it just flies away from my brain, and then I rediscover it and I get to relove it all over again. So TRS 8-bit is like a magazine in PDF form that's been coming out for years. Like it's in year 14 or something like that. Latest edition is March 2021. And it's just an absolute delight. So if you like TRS-80 stuff, you already know about this, no doubt. And I'm just like the new guy to the block. And I bet if we look through many years of doing this podcast, I probably discovered it before, maybe more than once, and have fallen in love with it every time. Who knows? It seems like the kind of thing I would do. But it's great. So I stumbled on it, and I'm just like, I'm hooked on this thing. I am so hooked on this. I don't have any TRS-80 stuff. I have no but it's lovely. It's just a great vintage style magazine / newsletter kind of thing. It's PDF, available for free, and it's just got like articles and like all the stuff you would expect. And so it's like how to program certain things, or like game reviews, and it's just like a whole bunch of stuff. Clearly created using kind of some vintage techniques of printing out old things and cut and paste, and which just adds to my joy of the aesthetic. It's great. So it's a total mishmash, and it's fitting for what it is. So if for some reason you're into TRS-80 stuff but don't know about this thing, run, don't walk, because it's great. It's absolutely, you got 14 years of these things to catch up on, and I just absolutely love it. And they're huge. Like the latest one is like a couple of 100 pages or something. It's like, what is it? Almost 300 pages. Like it's enormous. 300 and I don't know. It's still scrolling. I'm at 364 pages. Like that's crazy. So.
Wait, how often does this come out? Is it monthly?
Daily. No, I'm kidding. I think it's quarterly or something. But like that's insane. 364 pages. So just enormous. It has ads. It has articles. It has little comics. It's got everything. I'm completely in love with it. So I'm not 100% sure who creates it. but it's obviously an act of love, and it's delightful. Everything about it is delightful. So
Yeah. I there's something that I really like a lot about the like, typewriter font on a like YouTube shortened link.
Yeah.
right, right.
It's like, but
So you just download
Yeah.
them as a PDF, and they're great. I completely love it. I think the really big
Very
ones,
nice. Yeah.
it could be that really big one is actually like the annual collective, like that is year 14 put together or something. I'm kind of vague on how these get published because I was just diving in and out all over them. But they're downloadable as a PDF, and they're just delightful.
Yeah, it does actually kind of look like the year 14 is still loading as I
Right, yeah, it
clicked
just goes and goes and goes, right?
Yeah, 364. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so I think this is probably just all of them put together, but it really is nice.
Yep. Just an absolute joy. So I've linked that in the show notes. Everybody, whether you use TRS-80 stuff or not, it's really enjoyable to look through it.
I've been meaning to, attempt to get into that a little bit. I have a Model 4P because my idea was basically I didn't want to commit the desk space it would require to have like a regular full size one, but the 4P is the portable, and so I have something that I can run these like TRS-80 things
It's
on.
portable, but it's not like tiny.
No, right? It's like sewing machine portable.
Right. It's luggable.
Yes, right. Huggable.
Lovable.
Yes.
The luggable, lovable 4P.
The Model 2 and 4, whatever, always to me just look like what airline check-in counters should use. It's 100% an airline check-in counter.
Yeah,
form factor.
yeah, exactly.
Whenever I've sat in front of one, I feel like I should be asking somebody where their flight is to. Boarding pass, please.
Or changing your, high school grades or whatever.
Yeah, of course, also useful for that.
All right, Jack, any closing notes or thoughts?
Not really. I have like some projects that are in the pipeline that I have not yet done, so I have nothing to report. I hope to say, I've done this cool thing, but I haven't done it yet. So
I've thought about doing a cool thing. At some point, I will do a cool
had
thing.
ideas.
Excellent. Yeah, I've been, so I guess as I was saying before, I just moved and I've been trying to like lay out things around my desk and figure out like how to make it look not insane and have things be functional and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Yeah, most of the things work. I've gotten the 2C Plus here and the 3 Plus and the Cube all started, and my Color Classic just goes bung and doesn't do anything. So I have to get that fixed. I have a Provets here, but I don't know if that has never actually quite worked. But pretty soon I hope I will get it to work. I think it's the power supply that doesn't work, and I just have yet to deal with it. But the Provets is a Bulgarian Apple II clone. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
So
saw one of
that's-
those at Kansas Fest. In fact, I
Yeah.
think a couple of years at Kansas Fest.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if this is the same model as the one that was there at Kansas Fest, but I think it's a 2 Plus clone rather than a 2E clone. But anyway, I'm kind of looking forward to like making it display Cyrillic and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Otherwise, I think it's basically, although they assert, I think the Provets company or whatever asserts that it is not a clone. There's no way that it is not a clone.
Right. Sure, looks like a clone.
That's right. But anyway, okay. So hopefully in the near future, people who are waiting on the podcast feed will get something like 9 hours podcasts to listen to all at once. But
Perfect.
and for those on YouTube, we will be back in just a couple weeks.
Yes.
So that's it for this show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can discuss the show in the forums at vcfed.org/forum/forum.php. You can follow RCR on Twitter at RCR Podcast. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR Podcast. You can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. And perhaps we will at some point read it and talk about it. We are a member of the Throwback Network at throwbackreviews.net. And please write a review on iTunes if you want or not. And until next time,
Retro
compute.
compute. Even on camera, we can't line it up.
No,
No.
not well.
That's
Yeah,
what Paul's for. Fix it in post.
that's right. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I think that like if we we're gonna have merch, the merch would be a shirt that says "Fixed in Post" or "Fixed in Post" or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow we can
Fantastic.
work in posthumous and posthumous and posterous or whatever.
Posthumously.
We'll also fix that in post.
Yeah. Cool.
Good times.
All right. Well,
Thanks, guys.
yeah, that was fun.
And thanks for everyone for tuning in. It's fun to see the chat go by.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
World of YouTube.
Right. I will end the broadcast. YouTube.
Bye.